Greetings, the great Alison De Laurentiis. Saucy BTS, pretty little liars, love her. Once said, when you invite the devil in, horrid little seeds start to sprout. When they start seeding, boy oh boy, you have the makings of the longest running theatrical release in Wilson picture history, the Rocky Horror Picture Show. The recipient of no Oscars, but for the 4-decade-long generation of fans who make it a tradition every Halloween to watch this either here at the Water Theater in Ridgewood or at another theater near where they live or at home, it doesn't matter. While Fox might not have done it justice with its adaptation, we'll see if I can with my review. Not of the film necessarily, but of the book. Come take a time warp with us next as the Thrift Store Rundown celebrates Halloween on a budget. First off, happy Halloween. Secondly, I've never seen this film before in my life, but if there was ever an authoritative, authorized book that goes behind the scenes of such a film with depth, clarity, and unabashed fun, it's this one by Bill Hankin, published by Hawthorne and Dutton, the Rocky Horror Picture Show book. I scooped it up for $4.99 and for 25% off. This has everything a companion book to a movie or TV show should have. Plenty of great photography in front of and behind the camera, and plus plenty of supplementary material too. In the beginning, mainly in the form of press materials and fan letters. But then you have not one, but 2 color-in sets, and I'll show you those in a moment. We get to learn more about the characters, stunning performances from Tim Curry and Susan Sarandon, Brad and Janet, to Meatloaf and Richard O'Brien, composer, lyricist, and actor for here, and Barry Bostwick. I will also caution you that this, much like the film, is not for children. I mean, you saw a couple of pictures in here that YouTube would be considering inappropriate, so best to err on the side of caution. Even though I'm not going to, for the sake of this being Halloween. And the amount of behind-the-scenes photography for a book that was published in this decade, in the late 70s, around the time the Rocky Horror Picture Show was released in theaters, is remarkable. As an added bonus, you get the lyrics for each and every song featured in the film, written by Richard O'Brien, plus sheet music for the first few bars of some of the songs. But that's just mostly placed in there for background purposes. It doesn't take much Paramount precedence when you go to the music and lyrics section, which is the final chapter in this book. You get to learn more about the fans' acclaim and the critics' initial disdain. Over time, this got reacclamation from both critics and fans, and thus it's labeled a cult classic today. A hallmark of the 70s and a landmark staple for the LGBTQ community because they were represented quite well in here. This is an almost flawless book. I say almost flawless because a couple of pages have been torn completely and cleanly out, much like this one. And if you see closely here, a good chunk of pages here, I'd say like a quarter of a third of pages, are separated from the spine here, towards the bottom of the book. The first page here is completely torn out. This is indeed authorized by 20th Century Fox and Lou Adler, executive producer, Michael White, producer. Oh, and this also has a cast and crew credit billing too, which is also important. Here and here, this book rightfully dedicated to absent friends. So, when does this belong to? Before the superheroes chapter, learning about the cast and crew, and of course, all those Transylvanians. We also have this here, which is ready to be torn out too. So, had we not had this issue, this would have gotten a 5 out of 5, but I can't in good conscience give it that grade because it's slightly deformed. But hey, this thing is more than 40 years old. Retail price, $11.95, and otherwise, it is pretty impressive. For a book of this quality, it's worthy of being included in your Rocky Horror Picture Show viewing tradition around this time every Halloween, every October. No wonder the film calls it such a riff-raff more than 4 decades later. Here's hoping you don't cause too much of a riff-raff this Halloween. Stay safe. As always, thanks for watching. I'll catch you on the thrift side.